Hey there, I hope you're good. So, some people have this tendency of hanging around with the wrong people for them in various ways. You could have been socialized that way. Like, for example, when you're young, you don't have a choice as to who you hang out with. You go to school and you're stuck with those people, you come home and you're stuck with those people. So, you don't often get to choose your company in a conscious and integrated way. And so you get used to hanging out with certain people, but they're not actually the right people for you. Um, and that needs obviously maturity and adulthood to get to know that maybe the person you've been friends with for 10 years is not actually someone you should be friends with, because you were friends because you sat next to each other in varsity, and then you partied together, and then you used to date or fuck the same people, and then you went into the same profession, but you're not each other's people. And that can be difficult for some people to admit to themselves, because you form bonds and you form attachments and you form connections, even if they're false, because you're not being true to yourself when you're forming those connections. They're just a reflection of the disloyalty to yourself and the conformity to your conditioning. So, what is the wrong person and what is the right person? That's up to you. There's no five qualities that make someone the right person for you. That's seasonal and it's very subjective. And why I'm saying this is because some people hang out and make a habit of hanging out with people they don't actually like, people they can't stand, people they think are vile people. But because of circumstances, they've then had to tolerate these people. Another thing is that some people project so heavily onto other people because of proximity. And those people tolerate it also because of proximity and survival. And that means you're with people who are not reflecting you very clearly, and you're with people that you are not seeing very clearly at all because you're projecting onto them. A classic example of this is siblings. No one knows their sibling, but everybody thinks they know their sibling better than everybody. Why is that? Because those are the types of relationships where you're going to project a lot onto your sibling. You're going to project what you don't want to see about yourself, and you're going to project what you need from that person from a survival and coping mechanism perspective. You may have a brother and you might project that they'll protect you, whereas that person might throw you for the wolves or throw you to the wolves and watch you get slaughtered and eaten alive. There's no protection there. But because you need that, or you perceive yourself to need that, you then project that onto that person just because they're your brother, whether you're male or female. You may project love from your sister. That person may not give a fuck about you. But because you need to have an idea that your sister loves you, you then project love onto someone who really doesn't care about you. Um, and there's so many different examples of then forming a pattern of projecting onto people and connecting with people based on what they're not, and also projecting onto people what we don't want to see about ourselves. We all do this, right? So most people, when it stinks, think something else other than themselves stink. Few people smell themselves first and then think that something else stinks. It's just what we're all like, until and unless you mature and you grow out of that, which is very rare because it's very uncomfortable to face uncomfortable things about yourself. And that's the thing with shadow work. If you're going to endeavor to do shadow work, you're going to be very uncomfortable, and you need to learn to be comfortable with that discomfort, because the point of shadow work is not for you to be more comfortable, it's for you to accept the things about yourself that make you feel uncomfortable and to integrate them into the whole of you. And if you're still getting stuck, like on your own ego, like you're still choking on your own ego and you can't move past a perception of yourself that keeps you from expanding, then shadow work is not for you. maybe do some other form of self development, but not shadow work. But you'll always hit up against your shadow when you want to move forward, because you do need to look at the unconscious parts of yourself if you want to progress, and integrate those parts and see how they either help or hinder you. Because in your shadow are both qualities that help you and qualities that hinder you. It's just a matter of how you perceive them. And sometimes what may help you in one season can hinder you in another, and what can help you in one context can hinder you in another. Hence, the shadow work um, needing to be ongoing and needing to then get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So, going into the habit of hanging out with the wrong people. So, when you hang out with people because you want them to like you, automatically you're not going to be seeing correctly whether or not they do. Why? Because you're going to be performing for them. You're going to be putting on a show that you think they will clap for so that they like you. That is setting yourself up for being with the wrong people for you, because those people don't like you, they like your show. And when you're doing that, deep down, you know they don't. So you never feel lovable or liked. You feel comfortable with those people because you are comfortable with your act and they like your act. When authentic aspects of you come out, which will always be sitting in your shadow, those people will drop you like a hot potato and forget you ever existed, because they did not know you. So shadow work then becomes daunting, because it means you meet you in truth, and you meet the ugly parts of yourself that you used to project onto your siblings or your friends or society or the world. You may have been one of those people who blame a genuine systemic issue as to why you're not further in life, whereas the truth is it's just because you're lazy. It's not because you're part of a disadvantaged group. There are plenty of people in the same group who are much further than what you are. And so it's not a genuine hindrance. The hindrance is in your own mind based on what you perceive yourself to be. And that is in no way downplaying the reality of systemic disadvantage. But for some people, that's not the issue. The issue is you. And shadow work means facing that. It means it's not that your boss doesn't like you, it's that you suck at your job. That's why you're not getting promoted. There's no conspiracy other than you conspiring with yourself to sabotage yourself by not doing your job at the right standard. For example, these are not nice things to face. Like, shadow work is not nice. But when people do shadow work is when they want to progress past a certain point where they feel that they've tried everything else on a conscious level, but it doesn't seem to be taking them where they want to go. So then they are willing to go through the discomfort and the hard, uncomfortable work of looking at the unconscious, and even going as far as getting help from someone to look at those things so that you can integrate them and move forward and progress. And sometimes it then means meeting parts of you that you don't like, or meeting parts of you that you do like. And it's always going to entail both. So, taking it back to the habit of hanging out with the wrong people, people you don't like, and then justifying that in whatever capacity, that oftentimes is what keeps you functioning in your own shadow. Because when you don't like people that you hang out with, you get to blame their unlikable qualities in your eyes for how you feel. You don't need to look at yourself and understand that what does it mean for you to be friends with someone you don't even like, or to be married to someone you don't even respect. And this is definitely not a judgment at all. And it's also not a criticism at all. As I said, this is very normal because that's how we all start off. You don't get to leave home because you don't like the parents and the siblings you got. For a while, you need to make do with that. You don't get to quit school just because you don't like the classmates you have. You need to make do with that. And for a long time in life, you are in that situation where you don't always get to choose the people you like to hang out with. But when you're an adult and you do get to choose, Self love says choose the people who like you and that you like. And that may take some time if you don't like yourself. And if you don't like yourself, shadow work can help you become a person that you actually like and want to be. Then you can start to attract and be attracted to people who like you once you've dealt with the shadows that have kept you choosing the wrong people for yourself.